Let's move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is joining us from the United Kingdom, and he is a project manager with Amazon. Kyriakopoulos joined Amazon in 2020. Hi, Kyriakos.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Right at the peak of the growth and expansion in terms of the last mile delivery stations, if I'm getting this right, and he's been part of that team. Responsible for the design, installation, and commissioning of the Amazon logistics delivery stations in the network. So, Kyriakos, if I'm not mistaken, the topic of your presentation is you think you know that what UK consumers want from the final mile delivery experience. Think again. And now these words coming from somebody at Amazon is a bit of an alarm bell.
It could be now. Actually, that's not the title, but it could be coming also from us. It's
when every day is Christmas. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
How can you cope? Okay. Well, on a much better note.
Perfect.
Okay. So, Kyriakos, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I hope you can see my presentation. So, as I said, a few notes for me. I'm Kyriakos. I was born and raised in Greece, and I came in the UK to study mechanical engineering and then project management. And I was lucky enough to work in various industries with similar roles in different countries during my university years and afterwards. So I think the biggest benefits out of that was all the different backgrounds and how to communicate and see the different points of view. I like sports, volunteering, and traveling, and I've been with Amazon, as you said, for about a year, and we are part of a great team that we're trying to keep up with all the massive growth that Amazon has, and hopefully to give you good insight after this session in terms of how things are moving forward. Before starting, just a very quick introduction on how the Amazon Logistics Network works, which is quite simple, but at the same time fascinating, since we're trying to achieve those promises to the customer. So on the left side of your screen are the fulfillment centers, which basically it's where all the products are getting stored. Those are quite massive buildings with loads of technology. There is a lot of systems and controls, and there's quite a few of them around the world. So as soon as someone is placing an order, these are getting picked. The products are getting picked from the fulfillment centers, and they're getting transported to the sortation centers or the delivery stations, DS, as you will see later on in the presentation, which on the right side of the screen, that's how they look like. They're quite smaller buildings. The technology over there, it's quite less the presence of technology, and the team I'm part of is focusing on the delivery stations, which are part of the last mile of the network, is the last point before reaching our customers. Just a few numbers, so potentially you can understand my title as well. It's I joined Amazon at a very interesting point last June, where it was massive growth. It was the numbers and the volumes that were actually present at the time, which was before I even joined in April 2020, were historically at Amazon only shown during peak, which is around October, November, and before Christmas. So that's why we say it's the Christmas volume. We have them now for a year, and it's coming more and more. And that's the part which is quite challenging, how to continue that without any compromise to the customer, and to continue to deliver within the day or the next day as promised. A few more numbers. Last November, we had the new record in the EU of processing 10 million packages within a day across the network in Europe, and about 45% of them were processed in the UK. with over 20 delivery stations to having over 100,000 packages processed a day. And again, just to put a little bit things in a perspective, 60 delivery stations in the UK were at the time in November 2020. Our team, and which obviously it's a part of a larger one, we're trying to keep up with that. And there's a few ways that we're trying to do it. Mainly, we're looking after the current delivery stations in terms of how we can upgrade the facilities, how we can upgrade the equipment, the technologies, and everything that is in there in the overall operations. At the same time, we are growing quite a lot, so opening new delivery stations across Europe and across the UK in order to meet the demand, which is continuing to have an incline. So the first type, as I said, is making some upgrades on the delivery stations that we are currently working on. When I joined, there was an ongoing project led by a great colleague of mine, which we had 17 new systems of conveyors that were placed there with new technology in our sites. Those were running at the same time, so parallel projects, and it was on live sites, meaning that the operations didn't stop at all. And it was a quite short period, 8 to 10 weeks per site, in order to change the whole system. This year we're doing 4, and overall it's about 20 kilometers of new conveyors that were installed the past year, and next year there's going to be even more. The upgrades have a lot of things that we're trying to keep in mind. First of all, the design in terms of how to make it easier for the operations and the daily life of our colleagues who are our customers, let's say internal customers, because they are the end users of the equipment that we install. As I said before, those delivery stations, they don't have a lot of technology at the moment, or let's say last year. Now we're trying to increase that. We're trying to have new equipment and also a lot of automation and controls to know exactly where our parcels are, to help with sortation, to help with picking, and all the processes again that we have in that. Again, trying to improve the ergonomics, trying to improve the health and safety. Those volumes are great, but at the same time, they bring a lot of challenges, and especially to the people who work in the warehouse or associate with. It's a massive work, and the overall upgrades, of course, need to have the ability to cope with the massive capacity that we have as a demand at the moment. I think let's watch a video at the moment of the upgrades last year, and then we can go into more detail later. Yeah, that was what happened last year. Was to be honest, one of the most challenging projects I've been part of, and I think all that growth is quite new to Amazon as well. Yes, Amazon is a very strong company at the moment, and it has a lot of great people, but it can still be challenging. So the challenge that we face in those kind of projects, the main one is that we have to maintain the operations. We have to do all these upgrades. We have to do it while we process parcels without affecting again any of the customers or promises that we have. On the image below, it's actually what you saw earlier as well. On the left side where it says C area, it's a live operations going on with processing parcels, and on the right side it's us installing the new equipment. Those type of projects are they include a lot of safety risks. It's a construction site, and at the same time a warehouse. You have people who are very familiar with all the construction and installation processes, and at the same time a lot of people who are not. So maintaining again that the safety aspect, it's a big challenge. The tight schedules are something that we really cannot get it wrong. We have always to follow the plan, and that's why planning it's a big part of our process, making sure that we take everything into consideration, making sure that we involve all the stakeholders as soon as possible in order to make it as smooth. Obviously, that sometimes is not the case on live sites, and having two different operations at the same time can bring a lot of hiccups. And that's why you need to be quite flexible and to have good reflexes to think of your next step, think what you can do in order not to delay at all. These upgrades will continue to happen, and it's something that we find very beneficial. It's something that it will continue to, Amazon continues all the time to try to find new technologies, what's next, how to make it more simple, how to make it easier. We don't try to reinvent the wheel at all, and try to simplify as much as possible. The other part, which the team I'm working on is a part of, is the expansion and the growth. Again, to put a little bit things in perspective, at the end of 2020, in the UK, we had 60 delivery stations, and at the end of this year, we're going to have 90. And at the time being, we haven't launched any at the moment. So it means that within almost 6 months, we are going to launch approximately 30 delivery stations in the UK. And there's going to be about 100 new ones in the EU. So there is massive growth at the moment. And it's the same teams that work for all of them. So it's not like one team is watching after and is looking after only one of them. A team is looking after, or the different teams are looking after all the different locations. So basically, we have two different types of buildings that we take. Some of them are already in use and constructed, and we take them and we refurbish and make them to fit our purpose. And at the same, and on the other end, we build them from zero. So something like the left image on your screens needs to start, and within 6 months to look something similar to the right side of your screen. So the key activities and the timeline, it's something again quite challenging. As I said, a lot of planning, which starts quite a long time before the actual execution, with trying to find the right building. There is a lot of departments involved in the process, from the real estate and trying to find the right piece of land, then to designing, construction, planning, a lot of things that need to happen. But the actual execution, the actual installation period, it's about 6 months. And that includes the construction, the actual building, the facilities, and everything, all the planning and planning permissions and everything that needs to be in place, all the engineering. That's where We come in with all the conveyors and all the systems that help and support the operations of the warehouses, the IT, recruitment, which is a massive aspect of the whole process. The fact that we are able to launch all these warehouses wouldn't be possible without having the right people in it. And then, of course, operations and making sure that the health and safety, again, is a big part of it. Now, someone in the construction industry would say that 6 months, it's quite challenging to construct a building from zero and make it full operationally. So if you time that by 30 or 35, that becomes even more challenging. So the main again difficulties, let's say, that we face is the multiple locations, different buildings, different layouts. We're trying to standardize, obviously, but at the same time we need to look at the detail quite a lot. We have a lot of vendors and a lot of suppliers, obviously, that we work with, and we try to provide a lot of visibility way in advance, so they know what's coming their way. Because again, the fact that Amazon has the power to run this doesn't mean, again, that everyone within our supply chain network is able to keep up. So we're trying to discuss. We have a lot of sessions. We try to make our suppliers, our vendors, to collaborate between themselves, share lessons learned, and plan for the future. Everyone needs to work as a team, and I think that's the biggest achievement from what I've seen so far at Amazon, that we really trying to make everyone's life easier and try to support each other. Again, the deadlines and the time, it's very important. Constructing and having a fully operationally warehouse from zero has a lot of dependencies, as you might guess. Those dependencies, if something goes wrong or a little bit late, that can cause a domino effect, not only in the specific warehouse that we had the delay, but actually in the whole chain of the launches, because we used only 4 or 5 suppliers and vendors for each of the categories of the items that we have. And something that applies also at the upgrades that I discussed before, applies also for the launches. You need to do it now, and you need to do it right. There's no chance. There's no second chance. That's why the planning is a massive part of the whole process. And the question on how to do it, many times we sit with colleagues to discuss on actually how is it possible to run, and how do we manage, and sometimes we don't have the answers. What I have found, and I think it's great, everything starts from the recruitment. The Amazon has managed to bring a lot of people with diversity, a great diversity in it, in terms of experiences, backgrounds, and different points of view, but at the same time with similar values. People, the main people that we work together, they try to collaborate. There's a lot of leadership, there's a lot of ownership. When there's a gray area in terms of who is responsible for that, there's a lot of times where someone will say, I'm going to do it, we need to crack on. So that's very important. And the trust, again, from the day one, I had trust from my colleagues, and also it was expected that I trust them as well. We have meetings where we don't keep minutes, and you know that things will happen. You don't need to chase up afterwards to see what's going on with things. Obviously, it might sound ideal, which is it's not always the case, and we have a lot of challenges. Again, the mentality of going back and challenge those challenges, I think it's really important. Not to accept it straight away, meaning that there's always a solution, meaning that there's always another way around. And that's something, again, that I learned through my time over here. You need to enjoy the pace that Amazon is working on at the moment. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, it will be very visible, and to yourself, first of all, and also to your colleagues and to your results. And a mentality, again, which we call it at Amazon day one, which before I joined Amazon, I thought it was some corporate wooden words that we use to to promote some values, but actually it's not. Day one is trying to being entrepreneurial, entering a meeting, entering your day or whatever the activity that you're doing with the same enthusiasm as you would as it's your first day, with fresh mind, clean sheet, so you can write down your ideas and everything else, and then continue to doing that throughout, and make sure that you always celebrate the achievements that you have. A friend and a great colleague who joined us from Amazon Mexico this year said something which is actually very true, that we have the human years, we have the dog years, which is a good ratio between them, and then we have the Amazon years, which sometimes is 10 times more than the actual year. So I feel I'm almost 10 years in the company. Sometimes things are moving fast so quickly that you get to see a lot, you get to meet some great people. And when you have a very strong team, which works together well, it is achievable. Great communication, and at the end, many times it feels like it was my uni days when we used to work together for a common project, and it didn't. Even if it's painful sometimes, it doesn't feel so much because you have other people who you share the same values, and you're trying to achieve something great. So that was for me. I hope I gave you a little bit of an insight of how things work a little bit over here in my experience the past year. I would be happy to answer any questions either now or later on. My email is down there, so please feel free to reach out, and more than happy to go into a little more detail.
Kyriakos, thank you very much for that. Thank you for the great insights and challenges that you faced over the past year. I mean, going from 60 to 90 new delivery stations this year sounds like a huge task on top of the 100 which are planned within the European Union. Now, I understand this is one team that has the overall has the overview of all these new points, right?
It is. So basically, how it works, obviously we have the regional teams in the UK, in the EU, in the different countries. We have almost daily communication with the whole continent, if I may say. And then our team is focusing in the UK, but we interact a lot. We try to have a common way of working with the rest of the countries. It is something that, again, as a process, it's quite new. That growth, as I said, it's quite new to Amazon. So we need to find common ways of working, trying to find what's the best, the smoothest way, and collaboration is the only way to go through that.
So every day is Christmas now.
Yeah.
Do the plans foresee every day being Christmas once things start getting back to normal, or is Christmas going to grow even more?
Christmas, yeah, Santa will be happy probably, because things are, it looks like things will continue to stay as they are, at least for the near future. And we are getting ready to make sure that the experience of the customer not only stays the same, but gets better. And that growth in new countries which are going to enter the network in the next few years. And already this year we have some new countries which will have start having some delivery stations. Yeah, so
Greece being one of them. Now that you mentioned,
I'm not sure if I can answer that at the moment.
Had to try.
Yeah, so let's hope. I'm from Greece, so it will be great. But at the moment, I don't have that information, to be honest.
So let me ask you one final thing before we move on, which is very impressive. I mean, obviously, setting up a new station is something that, once everything seems to be in place, you turn the switch. But what seems to be a really big challenge is setting up and improving, enhancing operations within an existing center where there is business as usual on a daily basis. So could you tell us a bit more about how the actual switch from the day-to-day operations to the enhanced operation goes about?
It's actually quite interesting. Today, actually, we have 3 go lives. So right after this, I need to go. But it's the switch. It's quite simple. Basically, as soon as we have commissioned with the new system that we're putting in place with some parcels, and we are ready, and we have done some training, which already that happens. The operations goes on the other side of the warehouse. As soon as we are ready, there is a gap when at the operation of the warehouse, and as soon as the new shift comes in, they start using the new equipment. It's as simple as that. So
is that overnight, or what's the gap?
Sorry?
Is that overnight, or is it a
usually we
gap
try
within a
1
shift?
o'clock in the night, it's the go live, usually like the official one, but today we will try to do something at 3 o'clock, which is an intermediate shift that we have. So people, it's great because it's like giving a gift to the operation. They are happy as they receive the new toy, and a lot of questions, a lot of smiley faces, and we make sure that as soon as it works and we have the first night good operations, the next morning we always try to have some cake, some music, and balloons and stuff. So we treat it as a proper launch. We treat it as something completely new. Everyone is excited about it, and it's just quite rewarding, to be honest.
Okay. Before I let you go to these new 3 launches and go lives, one key learning. What's the major learning you've had over this hectic year?
Oof, had loads. I think that actually, it's an example that, the key learning. There's 2, if I may. One is that what I used to say, that no matter how much powerful you are and how much energy, knowledge, money, in a case to invest you have, the example that I gave is that a woman can give birth usually to at 9 months period. If she gives birth at 7 months, there might be some complications. But if you try to give birth at 3 months, there's going to be some mistakes. There's going to be something going wrong. So certainly some things need their time, and no matter how much support you have in terms of the business, some things need their plannings, need their time. So you don't want to compromise at all the safety. You don't want to compromise at all, and making something very quickly now, which is gonna cause a lot of problems later on. So that's what I think. What we learned, that yes, we need to make it now. We need to make it quickly, but at the same time, we need to plan for the future as much as possible.
Okay. Kyriako, once again, thank you very much for being with us, and every success in the pending launches.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good day, everyone, and thanks for having me.
Thank you.